Excited to be here and wrap up J.E.M 2018, and very excited to be with three amazing icons in the Boston culinary scene. Well, maybe two, and then Dan McNichol.
He's kind of underground.
When I said three, I meant
That's right.
I meant myself. Let me see. I'm going to try and dive into Chip's bio here, which is not the most thorough bio I've ever seen, Chip. But Chip Coen, any of us in the wine world, in any of our restaurants know Chip Coen. He is the vice president of on-premise sales at M.S. Walker, one of the important wine companies we all buy wine from. He's been at M.S. Walker for 35 years. Chip came out of the frontline ranks of the restaurant world back in 1978 to 80. He was manager in Faneuil Hall. There was a time when Faneuil Hall was a very important part of the Boston restaurant scene. Locals ate there, and locals were taken care of by Chip Coen. Since that time, he's been, I know, instrumental in the development, in particular, of the Boston wine culture, and so many of the great sommeliers that have made their mark on this industry. So thanks, Chip. And Chip and I have known each other, like the rest of this table, since 1998, when I officially relocated to Boston and settled in.
So
Thanks,
there,
Chip.
you get your bio in there. Perfect.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. What about the enduring success part?
We'll keep coming back to that.
Dan McNichol is a #1 best-selling author and award-winning journalist. His published books, articles, thought leadership papers, and speaking events focus on mega construction projects in the United States and the People's Republic of China. A former White House appointee, Dan served the president on U.S. policy issues surrounding transportation and infrastructure between 1991 and 1993. Dan has worked in official capacities on the nation's largest infrastructure projects. California High-Speed Rail, wow, that's awesome. San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge replacement, and the Big Dig, the sort of landscape shifting construction project in the heart of Boston. That all of our businesses have had to sort of work around over the last 20 years. And then the eventual third harbor tunnel project, right? Thanks, Dan. And then between the two gentlemen is Chef Jody Adams. Jody's career in food began at Seasons Restaurant, which was in the Bostonian Hotel, also in the shadow of Faneuil Hall, under Chef Lydia Shire in 1983. 3 years later, she helped open Hammersley's Bistro with Gordon Hammersley as his sous chef. In 1990, she took the executive chef position at Michaela's restaurant in Cambridge. While at Michaela's, Jody developed her reputation for carefully researched regional menus that combine New England ingredients with Italian culinary traditions. In September of 1994, Jody opened the very important Rialto restaurant in Cambridge in the Charles Hotel. Jody had an extraordinary run at Rialto, 22 years. She's now chef and owner at Trade, at Saloniki, and Porto. There are 2 Saloniki locations, one right in our backyard in Fenway. Chef Jody's been praised for her creativity, support of local farmers, continuous charitable work, and business acumen. There's a 4th panelist missing. We are, I think, all friends and colleagues and have known each other for years. There's a 4th panelist missing, Kat Saleri. Kat is actually, I would consider, family to the 4 of us, and was really the common thread to putting this panel together. It's probably strange for some of you to be talking about 1990 and 1988 and 1994. So I thought maybe we'd start a little bit more modern times and maybe work our way back. And I'd actually like kind of have Dan kick things off to talk just about the sort of geographic kind of landscape shifting that resulted in the Fenway, the explosion of activity over in the Fenway. Those of us that work here sort of understood and watched this kind of happening for years, but can you kind of put into context how that neighborhood has kind of evolved? Where did it start? And then we can kind of lead into how Jody ended up opening a fine casual Greek restaurant there.
Love it. Thank you, Garrett.
Sure.
Is it okay to stand? Just like to see this crowd. Thank you for having me. The outside expert, I guess. Not part of the restaurant industry, just the beneficiary of all that you guys do. But Fenway, it's remarkable. My grandfather had an office, doctor's office, a couple rows back on Bay State Road. When he was a doctor in the 1940s, 50s, there was no Mass Pike. There was no Storrow Drive. There was barely a train coming through here. And because of development, and it goes hand in glove, development is transportation, transportation is development. So if you see the growth areas today, almost always there's going to be some kind of mass transit. What's so unique about the Fenway area though, Fenway, Fens, both combined, you've got all this energy coming from Boston, emanating out. You've got this great Green Line stop, and I know the Green Line gets slower and slower as it gets past the station here, but it's all about what people feel is coming, the goodness that's coming. It's taken 20 years of heavy construction, the idea of the big dig and it moving out this direction, the benefits of a big project that improved the downtown, improves Fenway. John F. Kennedy said all boats rise with the high tide. How did that happen? It's almost always restaurants that begin the gentrification, and that word has a negative connotation, I know, but you can't have improvement without some change, and those changes can be pretty disruptive to the core, the fiber of a community. But I think it's happened slowly and smartly here, and if you look at Eastern Standard setting a tone for what could be for Fenway, which was all about hot dogs and fast food and some cheap bars. You have to have that tenacity and that visualization around a neighborhood. And I think restaurateurs have to have that same kind of passion. They often work hand in glove, and it often takes a great restaurant to kick off a neighborhood development, just because people need confidence before they put money down to buy office space, to buy a condo, storefront. They need to know that good things are coming, and it's almost always the restaurants that go in first.
And Jody, I'd love to hear about the relationship with the landlord first, but can you sort of like set the stage for us how, you are someone that we all look up to because you, like your mentor Gordon, you are in your kitchens, you are touching food, you are exactly the same sort of person in relationship to your restaurants that you were 25 years ago, but at some point you reimagined yourself as a creator of a concept of, I call it fine casual. I don't know how you guys call it, but how does Saloniki fit into the evolution of Jody Adams' career?
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here with all of you and to be, well, we have, if you don't know, we have right around the corner a restaurant called Saloniki. It's I say fast casual. I think that Danny Meyer coined fine casual. I think that's really confusing. Mm-hmm. What's fine? I think that trade is fine casual. I think that Saloniki is fast casual. And I've always been interested in moving between fine dining and feeding a larger group of people. And at one point in my career, actually did have a casual restaurant in the Atrium Mall in Newton. But I have a partner who is Greek and another partner who is young and ambitious, and collectively we decided we wanted to do something for Boston that we hadn't seen, which was a really high quality Greek restaurant using traditional flavors but reimagined techniques and presentation, and to really stay true to Greece and not morph.
Jody, what about the Fenway area? I'm going to assume you started talking to Samuels 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago.
Yes.
Maybe.
What about the Fenway?
Yeah, what about the Fenway area?
You know, it was there was not very much there. You guys were here. But on that back side, to your point, Dan, we were, felt a little bit like canary in the coal mine because Chipotle was across the street. But other than that, there were places on Boylston like Citizen and some other, Basho was there. But in that Fenway neighborhood, there really wasn't very much except Yard House. And Samuel's not only was developing the buildings, but also rejiggering the streets. So the street that we're on, Kilmarnock, had nothing on it. Or Van Ness, I'm sorry, Van Ness. And it was, I think it was one way going the other way. And they thought very long and hard about how to create this neighborhood that would be a gateway. He called it a gateway, between Brookline and Back Bay.
Being the first in, do you feel like there's any sort of responsibility or collaboration with the landlord to kind of protect your business? Or do you see the competition and the kind of, that Fenway might be identified as a place where you can go and get this really, so many dynamic choices? Is that a positive?
I think, I think we are at a different time with restaurants because it's one of the few things that you can't experience online, right?
But to a large degree, if I may, you're also part of the lifestyle. If somebody's looking to buy a condominium or rent an apartment, or their parents are coming to visit them at school, to have an anchor property that brings lifestyle and culture and society and nourishment may be better than having one more sporting goods store or something you can buy online and have delivered to your doorstep. So you bring something else that really enhances the value of the property also. So these landlords are not foolish in terms of what they're chasing and trying to get you to come on board and tease you to come across the river as they have.